Hey, Todd.
Hey, Jen.
What are you listening to this week? Welcome to What Are You Listening To? The weekly podcast created to foster community through music by sharing the stories behind the songs that soundtrack our lives. Some of the songs are old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by singer-songwriter Todd Deatherage. Todd is an Austin-based musician and founding member of the Merles, an original classic country band that strives to create an old-school traditional sound that echoes the memories of yesterday's country music. In addition to the Merles, Todd is also in the process of releasing a new solo album. We'll talk more about Todd's musical journey and hopefully get some inside scoop regarding his solo project in between our song picks. Also, did you know that now on Spotify, you can listen to the show with the songs we discuss incorporated? Just search for What Are You Listening To with Music. If you're not listening on Spotify, be sure to give the playlist a listen and then tune into our conversation. With that, let's get started. Todd, what are you listening to this week?
Well, my first song is Face to the Wall by Faron. So I chose this song. Do you want to get into the
Yes, tell me why you chose this song. I love this song, so I have to know why you picked this one.
Well, it's a B-sides, and the songs I chose are all B-sides,
Okay.
And I chose two Cheatin songs because we were talking the other day on the phone about country music, and you're like, I don't like new country music, and you're like talking about how you like the old style country music, which of course I love. I have a whole band dedicated to old style country music, and I started thinking about, what is the deal with country music now? And I started thinking about how Cheatin songs aren't really as popular in the new style of country music. It's mainly like drink beer, hang out. You got the pickup truck. You got the whole sort of, they do it all over and over again. It kind of gets boring, and life never seems to really change in the new landscape of country music. It's like everyone's just partying, having a good time. The world might be falling apart, but we're not paying attention. We're just partying.
Right. Yeah. Which is kind of the space that rock music used to hold, right? Which leads me back to a lot of new country doesn't resonate with me because it sounds like kind of watered down pop.
Right. So I started thinking about, that's interesting. Why would you feel that way? And I started thinking, so a lot of the heartache, like what attracted me to country music was the heartbreak. I remember growing up, I'm a 70s baby. And so I grew up in, the 80s and 90s and not liking country music and listening to it, not really understanding it, and be like, this is terrible. It seemed cheesy to me. And then, I got my heart broken, and I started listening to Hank Williams, and I was like, oh my gosh, this all makes sense. This is
exactly,
this is the music for me, and it just it resonated with me. And so I feel like that kind of has gone away with the newer stuff. And so, but with the old stuff, some of these stories, they hit you so hard. And this song, Face to the Wall, I just love his lyrics in there, and I love the story. It's just he's got this girl, and all of a sudden he's walking by the window where she lives, and then he sees her making out with somebody else, and then it's also silly. And as as she's making out, she turns his picture face to the wall so she won't have to look at his picture. It's just
ouch, right? Ouch. I was like, but let me tell you, this is where I'm gonna get on my soapbox a little bit, because I know people they'll look at this track list and go, no, this episode isn't for me. I don't like country music. And my soapbox about this, I said the same thing whenever I had Mike Marquardt on for Birth and History of Western Swing. You don't have to listen to it every day old country or Western swing, but you have to respect it. If you like popular music today, we wouldn't have amplified music without Western swing, right? We wouldn't have a dance break in a song without Western swing. We wouldn't have like house music or party music without Western swing. Like you have to kind of go all the way back. And this song perfectly, I'm like, I challenge you listeners, listen to this song, listen to the lyrics, and then listen to Somebody Told Me by the Killers. Right? It's the same kind of sentiment, right?
Right. Definitely.
I'm like, I bet you $50 Brandon Flowers at some point heard Face to the Wall by Faron Young. It's got to be in there somewhere because it's like Somebody Told Me is like a modern day retelling of Face to the Wall, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah. These stories are great, and I don't know. I also, the thing that I love, I love Faron Young's voice. He's
that's the note I made too.
His voice is just so great. It's the way that he slides in between some notes, and it's just very, it sounds very earnest and heartfelt, and then also I just love the way he sings, and people don't sing like that anymore, and it's just really great to hear that sort of style of just everything. And I love the words, putting conscience in the word. And they're just like, but words you don't hear in normal songs, Was I farther from your conscience, standing face to the wall? It's like, he just has a couple words in there that aren't used, and they're kind of mouthfuls that you don't use in normal.
I love it though. And I love the little kind of drum roll, the little ba-dum, ba-dum that comes before he says it, for like extra emphasis. And Faron Young sometimes doesn't get mentioned at the top of the list when you think about like old time country greats, I guess, to a layman, maybe if you're really into the genre, Faron Young. But I feel like if you've done a deep dive on Bob Wills and Hank Williams and Willie Nelson and Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn, but you've kind of skipped over Faron Young, like, go back and listen to Faron Young, right? Like, you're right. His voice is like so smooth, and the timbre he creates in it, really, he's very masterful. He's super skilled with maintaining his voice. And this is not to say that he is a perfect person. He certainly was a problematic artist of the day.
Yeah.
But then he also did some really good things. A lot of people have heard the story about how he kind of was one of the first ones to welcome Charlie Pride into the Nashville country scene. And that was a time when, African Americans weren't making country music, and it was a problematic time for them to be joining that genre. And he was like really welcoming to Charlie Pride. I've always heard that about Faron Young, but maybe not the best guy around the ladies.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I guess I was reading in preparation for this that he ended up killing himself. He had a lot of struggle with alcoholism, and I guess at the end of his life, he felt like a failure. But some of that is kind of missing in country music.
Right. The tragedy is not there anymore. Where is it?
It's like, that sort of like, you think about Hank Williams, same sort of thing.
Right.
He sort of drank himself to death. All these dudes, they just like have, and ladies too, they have this like, horrible depression that yields these amazing songs.
It's so true. It's so true. And he had, 36 top 10 singles. I mean, like, you can't argue with somebody that's got that kind of a record. But as we move on from Faron Young, I'm so anxious to talk about your second cheating song of the day. I'm like, I wonder if I need to check in on Todd. We've got two cheating songs here. What are you up to?
Oh, no, I know, not at all. I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, is this bad? But I don't know. This song to me is it's so catchy, Cheatin' on Your Baby. And this is Red Foley's version. So we were just talking before we started here. I don't think he wrote this song. I think it's a song from the 30s. And this must be a cover, but I looked everywhere and I couldn't find when this thing was released. So another sort of B-side. I don't know the release date of this song at all. But the melody is just so catchy, and it just gets you. I don't know. My
Agreed.
Kids have been singing it.
Yeah, well, it's fun. I think that, you get like those great classic country sounds that I like too, with the upright bass and the fiddle. And again, you get that dance break in there. And I love that. Like, another thing that I love about this song too is kind of the storytelling device. You were saying kind of your theme in your head as you were picking songs was B-sides, cheatin' songs, old country. And as I was putting my songs together for this week, we don't ever pick a theme really. Like sometimes the genres end up matching because I'm listening to the music of the guest I'm about to have on, right? So that sends me down all kinds of rabbit holes. But with this one, I was like, oh man, we're going way back with some really classic sounding country. And it reminded me of modern day though, again, in that I remember, everybody that's ever heard me talk on the show knows I'm a Taylor Swift fan. And I remember in the Long Pond studio sessions that she did along with the Folklore album, she was talking about how a lot of her songwriting devices are from old country music, where it's like the singer's telling a story and then at the end it's like, but the problem is me, right. He pulls it out from under you at the end, so like you think you're listening and you realize you've got an unreliable narrator because all the time, you think you were singing about somebody else and they were singing about them. And I felt like this song uses another great sort of storytelling device in country music where it's like the flipping of the script, right? Like if you're out cheating, your baby might be cheating too,
Exactly. And I read some biography here of Red Foley, and apparently, this song is not good for him because I guess he was cheating on his wife, and his wife ended up killing herself.
Oh no!
Yeah, and so he took a little time out from music. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this song maybe I don't know? Did he record this before or after, or what? I don't know the whole timeline on this whole thing, but it's very grim, So
yeah,
yeah. But the melody of the song is it's so catchy, and it's just kind of funny. And I've started playing the song at shows, and I just love to watch the audience response.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like some people start to chuckle. Sometimes couples will look at each other, and I'm like, what's going on
what's
here?
Happening?
Yeah, are you guys together? Or is this like it's just a kind of a funny song that gets people sort of going every time. So I like the song a lot, and I love the guitar part. The guitar playing for this whole song is just amazing. It's just got a great guitar intro. The line, all the guitar lines are great. So obviously I'm a guitar player too, so that's one of the things I really, really dig about this song.
Yeah, I love everything about this song. I feel like it immediately sets a mood. It immediately feels danceable. The lyrical and storytelling tricks are everything I love about classic country. So yeah, this song like really encapsulated. Whenever we were talking about, or you're saying like what defines, classic country versus modern that you love, I feel like this is all of it. This song has everything that I love.
Right. Yes.
Well, and with that, I sort of transitioned into thinking about classic country songs that I loved. And when I went back and was looking at legitimately what I was listening to this week, I also found it fascinating. The name of your band is the Merles. And I learned in researching that was inspired, at least in part, by one of my all-time favorite artists, Merle Haggard.
Oh, mine too.
So I chose my favorite Merle Haggard song, which is a song called Silver Wings by Merle Haggard and the Strangers.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to say anything about the song that hasn't already been said. It's beautiful. It tells a heartbreaking story. When we talk about great voices, Merle Haggard's is like top 5 for me. Yes. Like it's just, he conveys so much. It's soothing, it's longing, it's sad, it's honest. It's just like, and it immediately takes me to my childhood, like I can't remember a time growing up where I didn't hear Merle Haggard in the background, so it's so nostalgic for me. And I just think that this song is gorgeous. I remember too, when I was living in Los Angeles, it must've been late 90s, early 2000s. The Knitters released a version of this song that was great, that I got to see live. And it was just like, it just reminds me of like what a classic song this is, and it's so beautiful. If you've not listened to it or you're not familiar with the Merle Haggard version, definitely give this one a listen. It's another great story song. We're talking about stories.
This Merle Haggard's voice is just like, to me, I mean, it's one of the kind of perfect voices in some ways.
Yep.
You know, the way that he sings, it's never what I love about his voice. You know, it's someone's like, "What's your favorite Merle Haggard song?" I'm like, I can't pick. You know, there's so many, and he's released so many songs too. So how can Misery and Gin is one of my favovorites.
Good one.
There's so many. Of course, Silver Wings is classic. You know, and as a country band, I was on that song hundreds and hundreds of times, but just his delivery is always, it's never forced. His voice is never forced. It's always relaxed. You know, his high notes, they never sound like, forced up there. It's just really nice. He always places everything, and I've studied a lot of classical music, and in my day, and dabbled in opera and stuff like that. And I got to say that the way that he places his notes, his high notes, is just so perfect. It's just nice up there. He just goes right into it. And you're never like, oh, that's a high note. You're like, oh, that's a high note. It was great. And I love his vibrato also that he does. It's just, It's perfect. It's so great. With all his stuff, and he's smooth. All his vocals are always so smooth. So I don't know. I go on and on about Merle Haggard. It's one of my favorites.
And it's almost like to me, it's like he's singing a conversation to you, right? It's so natural to him that it's almost like he's speaking. It's like he's talking, right? Like it's so natural the way song comes out of him.
Well, that's the so amazing part about the way that he delivers the vocals, that it is like he's talking to you, but it's also this smooth, just awesome vocal going on at the same time. It's not been matched, by a lot of people. I guess George Strait is kind of the same way, I would say. It's sort of the same sort of deal, but it's just that style is just, I love it so much.
Me too. And yeah, you know what? You making the comparison to George Strait, I don't know that I'd ever put it together like that before, but for me, you're exactly right. The same reason I love old George Strait music is the same reason that I love Merle Haggard music. You hit the nail on the head with that comparison. I completely agree. So that's another great, if you're a George Strait fan, even like modern George Strait, again, go back and listen to some of the 70s, 80s, stuff that these guys were delivering. It really was so good and different.
Right.
It was different than what it's, than how George Strait sounds now to me. Still great. I still love George Strait.
Yes, he's still King George, still king.
He's still King George, yes. No disparaging remarks about George Strait. And I will always go back to, 1980s George Strait any day.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I love all that stuff. It's funny, though. You think about, we do The Chair, that song.
Such a good song.
It's such a good song. But I'm like, would he be able to release that now? That song's a little creepy. Right. I know he didn't write, these songs. He's just kind of Elvis. He just got this amazing voice. But it's like, some of the stuff would that work now? It's a great song, but it's a little weird.
No. We always joke on the show, or we often, if I have somebody who's into country music on, we talk about how someday I'm going to do an episode about problematic 80s country. And everyone's like, you'd have to do a whole season because from 82 to 87, it's only problematic.
Yeah, right? Totally. You're like, that's not cool. That's a little bit okay. Yeah, all right.
Did he just say that? What? Wait a minute. What? You can't say that.
You can't say that. That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yikes. So one day we'll have our problematic 80s country episode.
Yes, I would love to hear that. It's so funny.
Well, I rounded out my picks this week with a Merles song. This, I was listening to a lot of your music as I was prepping for the show, and obviously prior to inviting you to join me and being very hopeful that you would say yes. So thank you. And the song that I kept going back to, there are so many great ones, but this one, I don't know why, it kept pulling me in time and time again. This is When I Get You Back Again by the Merles. So This track also has Matt Hillier on it,
Yep.
right? From
Yeah.
1100 Springs. So it was great to kind of hear him chime in as well. I love the way your voices work together in this song, the instrumentation, the arrangement, the steel guitar. Oh my gosh, please tell me about this song. I like I said, I'd listen to like 3 other songs or go down a rabbit hole, and then I'm like, I think I want to hear When I Get You Back Again. I think I want to hear When I Get You Back Again. Yeah. I just kept going back and going back.
Yeah, well, this song was Matt and I wrote the song during the pandemic.
Okay.
And Matt is like my old like friend, best friend. We went to high school together, and
oh wow,
and knew each other through kind of the middle school sort of time too. We had the same guitar teacher, and so we've been friends for so long. And Matt, of course, has written so many great songs, and but we never really wrote a song together, which is kind of bizarre because we both write songs. And so I was kind of like, this idea of the song, the melody, When I Get You Back Again, just that little line came to me. And I was like, oh, this just sounds like Hillier. This just sounds like a song that he would sing, And so I did a recording of just like that little line, And, I was like, I hope he's into doing this, because who knows? He's very particular. He's got some standards, and he was in.
That's
he's like,
good.
Yeah, he's like, I can do this. So it was great. We wrote the song actually over Zoom. So,
oh wow!
Yeah, because it was during no one could see each
COVID.
other, so it's during, and so we came with this whole thing, and I kind of had a different take on the song that Matt did whenever we were doing it. I kind of like had this the more traditional, like I kind of thought like urban cowboy, like like the guy's watching someone dance with his girl and he's drinking whiskey at the bar, sort of scene in my head, about this, and that he's like hoping that he'll get her back and this, and Matt kind of took it to this other level of where it was like, like he's like, I'm the crappy person here, like maybe I didn't listen to you, maybe I was the person, and then I'll maybe win you back. And so it was kind of, he changed the sort of like scenario of the song, and in a really great way. I thought it was a really good direction of the song. And so yeah, we ended up writing it over Zoom, and we actually recorded it kind of remotely. We recorded it remotely as well.
Wow.
So we recorded the song with Don, of course, Don Cento.
Frequent guest, yes, and friend of the show.
Frequent guest, an amazing musician, producer, mixer, everything.
All around guy.
Yeah, great. And so we recorded at Centone's, his studio in Austin, with the Merles, and so my band did all the stuff, and Don kind of helped us. He came up with the steel guitar riff that you're talking about. He kind of helped Mike
so good.
Sims, our steel player, kind of settle into that, and that lick kind of makes the song for me. I love it.
So good.
It's so good.
It's so good. I have a big note on here that says the steel guitar.
Yeah, in all caps. Yeah, that it just makes the song, and then the intro lick I kind of came up with because I was wanting something sort of George Strait like, and it just that kind of like, I was like, we did a couple different things that wasn't working, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is kind of the sort of George Strait sort of idea, and so that worked. But we recorded everything in Austin, and then Matt recorded everything, his vocals, in Dallas with producer John Pettigo, who's like done all this stuff recently, with Joshua Ray Walker and all those people, Bandoliers and all that stuff, and Matt as well. So he recorded his vocals there and then flew it back, and so we put it all together.
Wow.
So we were never actually in the same room.
Which is crazy because it sounds like right. You guys are on a stage. Like, I love the urban cowboy reference, right? Like that was the visual I had when listening to it. It's like a group of people in an old honky tonk back in the day where everybody's sort of two-stepping across the dance floor together, like it was one of the most classic country sounding songs I've heard in a while. And it matched lyrically, it matched musically, it matched from an arrangement standpoint. And it was like like you said, from that very opening lick, I felt like I was in a classic country song. And maybe that's why this is the one I kept going back to. But I love this song, and I'm so anxious for listeners to start with this one and then to go deep into the rest of the Merles catalog, because there's so much there. And while we're talking about the Merles and how fantastic they are, I would also love to know what is going on with you in terms of solo project these days. I'm hearing rumblings that we might be getting some solo music. Is there anything you can share with me about that?
I'm going to release a solo record on the 22nd of this month, on June 22nd, digitally. So you'll be able to listen to that. Recorded once again with the wonder, Mr. Don Cinto.
Yay!
So we did the Merles stuff. We did the Merles EP and everything, and then right afterwards, I don't know. I've known Don for a really long time from the Dallas days, and we just kind of hit it off. And I was like, "Hey, you want to do the solo record too?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And so we started working on it, and during, of course, COVID times, and so we were trying to. I mean, all these things is so weird that thinking about it now, because we were trying to figure out, like, how do we do this? Do we wear masks when we're next to each other? Do we not? Can we take off our masks if we're in the control booth? How do you make a vocal mic? How do you make it clean again?
Right.
Like, we had all these, it's like total confusion times. How do you record the band? Can you have them in the same room? It was just all these like complete, puzzles that we were having to figure out. So we recorded this over a year. And so it's like 2021, 2022. So it's been done for about a year, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with it, because it's a little bit different than the Merle stuff. It's a little more like Americana, sort of. There's some rock sort of pop stuff in there, which my solo stuff has always kind of leaned towards that. So it's a little different, but we spent a long time doing it, and I'm really happy with it. Don just did such a great job of just working with me, which I'm kind of crazy, and so he's very good at, like, walking me off the cliff, and sort of coaching me back into reality, and then also guiding me as a musician. Don's a much better guitar player than I am, and I learned a lot from him from guitar playing. He is very patient, very, very patient with me, and
he is in all things.
And I mean, really, and I learned a lot. And so he played guitar on like a couple tracks, because he's clearly better. But we worked with me on some other stuff and got some great stuff, out of me, which I really appreciate. And so, this solo record that's coming out, it's Don and I released, we did a couple singles before we turned it into a record. We released this song, Good Feeling, which is going to be the title track of the record. And then we also released this other song, Back in Dallas, which kind of throws back to my Dallas days. And then we went ahead and recorded 7 more songs and put it together to have a 9-song record. So
amazing. Yeah. And you said June 22nd, that one will be available.
June 22nd. We're going to have it available digitally, and then hopefully I'll have the physical copies if you want that CD. I don't know who wants CDs anymore, but some people do. I don't know.
This gal.
It's hard to find. You have to have it, though. And, I appreciate people because who buy them, even if they don't have a CD player. It's like a token. You want something from the band. I appreciate that. So
it's true. And sometimes it's just nice to have like the thing, whether it's a CD, a cassette, an album, whatever. I know vinyl, physical. I also have a very extensive vinyl collection. I know that's come back a little bit more, but I'm like, it's a matter of time, mark my words, until CD collections are the new vinyl. I'm like, it's coming that way. That's happening.
So. I mean, like, the artwork on it's really cool.
It is.
For the new record that I have, this artist Thaddeus did drawings of it. He did a drawing of me and to put together this whole entire record. So it looks really cool too. So that's why it's like, I want to make physical copies so you can see the artwork too, because it's part of the whole thing. So it all ties together.
A full sensory experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Oh, Todd, thank you so much for sharing what you're listening to this week and for joining me on the show. Like I said, I was listening to the Merles music and so hopeful that you would say yes when I reached out. So I'm really grateful that you did. This is one of my favorite genres to get into. And when I can talk with somebody that loves it as much as I do, it's that much more fun. So
Yes.
I'm so glad you were down and willing to meet me here in Riverside FM so that we could record together.
Yes, thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Well, to learn more about the Merles, you can visit www.themerles.com and follow the band on Instagram at The Merles. That's TheMerles. And to check out everything else that Todd has going on, you can find him at todddeatherage.com. That's www.todddeatherage.com or on Instagram at Todd Deatherage Music. And please be sure to follow, download, and share this show with everyone you know and all the people you'd like to know, because music is a great way to connect. Last but not least, to stay informed on all things Super Awesome Mix and what are you listening to, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. Thanks for listening, and please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.